O most blessed Mother of God, supporter of the weak, joy of the grieving, patron of the insulted, see my troubles, see my sorrows, help me, as I am weak and humble.
I like convents. I thought to go only for 2 months in 1992, but the Lord decided otherwise. So I have been here for 7 years now. Our parish and the brothers at the Konevsky monastery have a lot in common. We are trying to solve the same problem. We are struggling with the passion of drug addiction. I first faced the problem of drug addiction rehabilitation at the Konevsky monastery. It was like an elementary school for me there. It was a school of prayer and of building. Not only the building of stone walls, but of rebuilding human souls. These walls have heard a lot of stories and confessions, seen many tears of young people who, despite their age, have passed through terrible suffering, bitterness and pain. Work with the drug addicted is similar to the work of an exorcist, the person who expels demons. That is why we, the priests, dealing with this problem, face similar consequences and sufferings. Difficulties with our own family members, misunderstandings with our fellow brother priests, slander from those whom you serve and those related to you. Drug addiction is an experience of a spiritual struggle, alcoholism, a demonic obsession, and every person who deals with it has to understand that this path is not covered with glory and praise, but with grief, grieving, and still more grieving.
In 2004, Archpriest Sergiy Belkov undertook this path of grief and of salvation, the salvation of souls and fates of the drug-addicted. Halfway between St. Petersburg and Lake Ladoga, in the parish of the icon of Our Lady of Konovets, he founded the first Russian Orthodox drug rehabilitation center. The center follows the rules of a monastic community. For the rehabilitants, the obligatory church service and prayers and work is requested. Life here is built on the rules of a church community, the rules of a Christian family. With no medical intervention, up to 80% of those who come are cured by labor, prayer and love. State medical centers boast of 5 to 8% recovery rates at best. As a result, drug addicts from throughout Russia now come to this small parish. O Heavenly King, O Comforter, Treasury of good and Giver of life, come and dwell in us and cleanse us from every stain.
I look at myself now and I realize that I had been dead all this time. They say when a person becomes drug addicted, his soul hibernates. But I don't agree with that. It dies. God said, "You don't find me, I find you." So it was. I was just crawling on the floor at home, dying from pain.
И меня потекли слезы вообще градом. И я попросил: Господи,
I burst out crying, and I asked, God, help me out of this torture. And then everything began to change. It always starts like this. Cigarettes, then some kind of alcohol, marijuana, then something more serious, opium or heroin. And this then leads to prison. You go to prison for drugs, then after prison, you start taking drugs again. When I was released the last time, it was a terrible time for me. I only worked so that I could always have money for drugs. I was a pickpocket. I stole money from pockets and wallets. I stole cars. It was well organized. It was like hunting. This is a way of life. Drugs are a way of life, from the moment you open your eyes in the morning to the moment you finish your day. Drugs replace everything. Friends, relatives, acquaintances, girlfriends, cars, and something else. Dignity. Simply everything. It's just like a cloth that erases everything and sets itself in this empty space. You had a girlfriend. The drug comes and says, why do you need a girlfriend when you have me? And you forget the girlfriend. You stick to the drugs. You have a car. The drug comes and says, why do you have a car? And you leave the car. Everything vanishes. Only the drugs remain. You won't meet any drug-addicted person who isn't familiar with a criminal environment or doesn't have a criminal background. How does it start? First, they steal. Then they sell drugs, or become prostitutes, or cheat, thereby gaining trust. In the beginning, there was one case that shocked me. A drug addict once told me that he found out that the wife of his best school friend had died. I don't know why or how, but she died. And the drug addict said that when he came to his friend with words of compassion, his eyes were searching for something he could steal for a dose. He managed to steal money from his friend's pocket, and the only human feature which remained in him was that he took only enough money for one dose. He didn't take all the money. But he said that he didn't care about his friend's grief. They love only themselves, if this can be called love, because this is hatred, in fact. The drug destroys everything.
When they are in this state, they don't love anybody, and they can kill in this state. Even their own mother, if they need money for drugs. This is a reality that I almost experienced.
The value of the social service in Father Sergiy's selfless devotion cannot be understood without understanding the realities of modern Russia. Western society and the Western Church have accumulated great experience in helping addicts. Russia has confronted this reality for only the last 10 to 15 years, yet it remains a national catastrophe. The number of drug-addicted children and teenagers has increased 11 times within the past decade, and the number of registered crimes 16-fold. Most addicts are young people 18 to 30 years old. The Russian Federal Drug Control Service has stated that the scale and the speed with which drug addiction is spreading in Russia is such that it threatens the country's national security. More pessimistic experts state that it may lead to the nation's partial genocide.